I'm ready.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Shop and Chivalry podcast. I'm here with my guest today, Greg Gipson. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Oh, not bad, not bad. So you're running for Alderman in Ward 1.
That's
okay.
correct.
And you're running as?
Independent.
Independent. Why independent?
Well, both political organizations, Democrat and Republican, I see both sides of it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just want to run independent because some stuff strongly I believe in on the Democratic side and some stuff I believe in strongly on the Republican side. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I think I just want to be able to voice my opinion and the opinion of people who lives in my ward and to be able to come with a medium balance.
Sure. I would say, I would agree with everything you said. And the problem with the political duality is that it takes the complexities of us as human beings and it organizes them into if this then that. You know, it's a one or two like binary kind of organization. And you know, when you look at everybody running, the majority of the people have an R next to their name, right? Yeah. And so people look at that and they say, okay, well, I know everything I need to know about you based on that. And that's so wrong. Like that's the total wrong way to have an understanding of another person, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me about your background. Who are you?
My name is Greg Gipson. Of course, I'm born and raised here in Ocean Springs and been married for 23 years. And I have a daughter who's with me here today. And she just recent graduated of the University of South Alabama. And also I'm raising my nephew as well. But went to school here at Ocean Springs, worked at the in a nonprofit area for about 30 years. Okay. And worked at the Mississippi Gulf Coast YMCA for years.
Excellent.
Running summer day camps along the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And then worked for the Boys and Girls Club of the Gulf Coast in director of operation there. So my background is in nonprofit and volunteering and giving back to the community.
Excellent. So you definitely got a service mentality, but also to work in nonprofit for so long, you understand the value of what a dollar can do for an organization.
Absolutely. And also saving for a rainy day fund too as well. Mm-hmm. You know, so you have to be smart and be good stewards of the dollars too that you are receiving in from people who are making donations to your organization as well. Yeah. And making sure that the money is going directly to the children or to the clients that you're serving, because at the end of the day, your administrative costs should be less than 3%.
That's interesting. I did some work with the Boys and Girls Club when I lived out in California. I volunteer where I feel like I can be most effective, which is the right thing to do, obviously. But so I was mainly centered around basketball programs, and whatnot, after school programs such as that. I've always enjoyed my time with nonprofits. I've ran a couple military nonprofits as well. And, there's a different energy when you work with people in nonprofits because it's not about the pension. It's not about that. It's literally about the core purpose of why the organization exists. And you're surrounded by people like that. And it's a different energy to work with.
Absolutely. And, and at the end of the day, we want to see the product, the end result, and how we have impacted the individuals' lives and how they've become more successful after going through a program.
Yeah. Well, and two, when you're working in a nonprofit, you're working towards something that, well, by its definition, that doesn't take a profit. So the principle is the in-state impact, but also everyone has this sort of combined effort towards principle, not some sort of like profit margin or not towards stock, the price of a stock. It's like, this is the intrinsic worth of this program and we're all rallying, behind that. Yes. So, well, tell us about your ward.
Well, Ward 1, it encompasses Fort Bayou, Monticello, and Culleoka. I say Culleoka 1 and Culleoka 2. And of course, I'm in Culleoka 2. Okay. And that's where I built my house at back there and enjoyed and had a lot of friends, grew up with friends in Fort Bayou for years and ski out there in Fort Bayou. So I'm very familiar with the ward and very familiar with, some of the residents out there too as well. Okay. It's just, it's a beautiful area, and it's busy on Ocean Springs Road. It's really, really busy out there. And so we just got some challenges and some issues that we need to work on that I've been, talking to residents in there in the ward and what we can improve on out there.
Yeah, Ocean Springs Road is, always been kind of I don't want to say treacherous road, but, it's got steep shoulders. Yeah. It's only 2-lane. It's a straight road, which, makes it inviting to people that want to gain some speed, but you got houses along there, churches, and there seems to be some economic development, edging towards that area along Ocean Springs Road as well. So tell me about problems within the ward that you'd like to address as the alderman. Where do you fit in all this?
Well, lighting came up, just talking with residents in there in the ward that the lighting can be much better because from my understanding that, some of the residents just walking around in the neighborhood, getting their exercise in at 5:30 in the morning, it's a little bit dark out there. And if we can improve the lighting and the drainage out there, that we should be fine out there. And also, I just found out that some money that was left over from the Katrina Community Development Block, that money is going to be, has been approved, and it's going to be used out in Fort Bayou to improve the drainage system out there. And
excellent.
The sewage problem out there. So that is great. And also MDOT just got approved that we're going to add some sidewalks down on Ocean Springs Road.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes. And so that was really a win because when I ride my bike from Culioca to, we going from left to right, me and my daughter, on Ocean Springs Road, and then we'll cut through Monticello and then go through Fort Bayou. But it's a safety issue.
Yeah.
And so I think having sidewalks down there would make it so much better.
It definitely would. I can't believe you ride your bike. Riding your bike on Ocean Springs Road is like riding your bike down Beachview.
Yes.
Honestly. You got to be pretty brave to do that, I think. But yeah, I've spent a lot of time. My best friend growing up was in Monticello, and then when I did RTC as a freshman, I think the sergeant major there lived in Monticello Woods as well, just a few houses down. And then there's a buddy of mine who does wood turning, on a lathe, lives in Culioca in the back of there. Shout out to Johnny Hughes. So, a lot of great people in that area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Drainage is just, it's an endemic problem on Ocean Springs, it seems.
Yes.
Everywhere. I mean, and Fort Bayou is dare I say, one of the older neighborhoods. Yes. So what can you do about old infrastructure like that?
Well, what we can do is identify those problems and get the right people out there to look at the issue and come back and tell us this is how we can address these issues. And then we also need to get input from our residents out there. And, they tell us what issues they're having. And then at the same time, then we need to formulate a plan.
Yeah.
And then we need to have neighborhood meetings and discuss the plan with them. This is what we are going to do to address those issues. So I think that's the road that we need to go down.
Now, how long did you say that you've lived in Ward 1?
So Whitney is 23. So I've been there 22 years now.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. So does the communication exist, the way you like it? Because I think there's a common theme in what you talk about having transparency and open communications and essentially not having this closed door group of members of the Alderman board make decisions without input from citizens. So has there ever been a period where there's been really good communication, or is the communication fine as it is?
We can always improve on communication. The communication is, we just need to talk about it, because I don't know, and I can guarantee you, I would say at least 50% of the neighborhood of Ward 1 can tell you they don't even know when a trash truck actually come through that neighborhood and pick up trash. Okay. So that's a communication gap. And so with that being said, we need to have quarterly meetings, neighborhood meetings, and I know Fort Bayou has their own neighborhood association, but Monticello and Culioca need to be included in there. So the years that I've spent out there, staying out there in Culioca, we have never been included. But one of the things I want to do is expand the neighborhood association to include the other two neighborhoods and just have one big neighborhood association.
So, but you would include everybody in your ward, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're talking about like a ward kind of thing. So if you got elected, would you be holding those quarterly meetings for people?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And then I want to hear from them and hear what they have to say.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, and they should have ideas and bring stuff to the table because so often we get entrenched in to our jobs and cannot see what other people are saying. And so I would love to hear from them.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. I mean, after all, no offense, you're just one house in there.
Absolutely.
You're one house. I don't know how many people are well, it sounds like you, your wife, Whitney, and then your nephew, right?
Right.
So 4 people out of the many, probably thousands of people out there. So absolutely, that makes sense. Okay. So why would you put yourself through a public election like this?
Well, I've been serving our community for years. And I'm one to sit back and listen at what people have to say and value their opinion and then formulate a plan and, hold community conversations and let's see what we can do to work things out and talk about and discuss and then move forward with the plan. Yeah. And so I'm here to listen. I'm here to serve. I've been serving for years with nonprofit and have that ability to bring people together.
I got to tell you, Greg, from where I stand, somebody that spends a lifetime working in nonprofit work is often thankless work. So you're somebody who's, I would say, conditioned to work in an environment where, well, you probably get more complaints than you do praises.
Right.
And so that's kind of why I asked that question about why would you run? Because it doesn't seem glamorous. I'll be honest with you.
No. By no means.
Yeah. So you must be doing it out of real principle.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. Okay.
And I'm also compassionate about Ocean Springs.
Okay.
When you're born and raised here and you love your city and you want to see your city prosper, I love Ocean Springs.
Yeah.
And I want to see the quality of life because at the end of the day, we have got to leave something back for our kids to, want to stay here in Ocean Springs. Yes, we want them to go and find them a job after we educate them. But at the same time, I want them to be able to come back and take our role and take our position and be the leaders of Ocean Springs.
Well, is Whitney going to stay here and work and live in Ocean Springs?
I don't think so. She's looking eyeing towards Texas.
Okay.
Get out of here. And,
cool.
And then hopefully she'll move back,
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I did. Yeah. I spent like 10 or 12 years away, and I went to more than 50 countries in that process. But even some less desirable ones like Iraq and Afghanistan. But it's definitely been around the globe. And at the end of the day, I had to leave Ocean Springs to actually appreciate it. And I remember coming down, and again, I've done a lot of these election podcasts, so it's a tired story. I'm going to tell it anyway. But coming down through Washington, as everybody does, yes. It was a different perspective that I had. It was as if the trees, everything gave permission to us to coexist within it, and I'm not one to typically have these kind of, feelings about it, but I was kind of struck with there's a harmonious balance between the nature, the environment allowing us to live among them. And it just gave me a sense of sort of responsibility to however this city is, we need to do it responsibly.
Absolutely.
So yeah. And that's probably why we have such a passion for the trees around here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you're working as an alderman, right?
Right.
What is it that you can say that the city's doing well, or what can we improve on when it comes to managing trees and in the city?
Well, I know we dissolved the tree committee, and that's disheartening. But at the same time, we need to, again, hear back from the residents of Ocean Springs. And we need to formulate a plan. You know, we don't have an arborist on staff here, and we need to just bring it back. But you know, trees, the oaks, the majestic oak trees and stuff like that, that is so much a part of Ocean Springs. And when you go down Washington Avenue and you see the trees and then you see the small business shops like that, that's what makes Ocean Springs quaint and nice, and that's why people come there. You know? And we need to revisit that. We just can't say that we're going to just cut down a tree because I want to build a home in that spot. But we need to absolutely see how we can build around it, you know, and save our trees, because that's a part of it. But we need to have input from our residents, and then we need to have a committee put back together and let's talk about the process. And it shouldn't be about likes or dislikes. It needs to, let's do what is right by our residents here in Ocean Springs.
Yeah, the trees can be a touchy subject, because on the one hand, you're trying to respect people's property rights. You know, they buy property, they should be able to build on their home. But at the same time, man, replacing some of these trees that are like, it took them 200 years to get to the way they are. I mean, some of these trees on Front Beach might have been, you know, the small trees that D'Iberville saw whenever he landed here, you know? So I think that has to be taken into account as well. And I'm told, though, all of the recommendations that come down are just that, recommendations. And so at the end of the day, it's the aldermen that decide whether or not to approve maybe a tree being cut down, right?
Right, because they go through the planning commission, they get their blessing, and then it goes up to the board of aldermen.
Perfect. Do you have any opinion on the Fort Maurepas tree?
You know, but you know, we need to figure out how can we save it,
right?
And if we can save it, and you know, that tree been down there for years, and if it is damaged, you know, how much damage it is to it, and then if we need to, you know, take a limb off of it, then let's take a limb off. But if not, then we need to try to preserve it as much as possible, because that is a staple down there on Friday.
Sure. And it's got utility too. I mean, it provided the primary shade in the summer, you know, to that playground and splash pad. I'm told, talking to other aldermen, that they haven't said this. This is me talking, right? It seems that tearing down the tree is an inevitability at this point. And whether I like it or not, because it seems that they've talked to arborists off the record, and they say, well, it's possible to maybe save the tree, but as an alderman and you're trying to make this decision at a municipal level, things have to be written down. Those same people won't put their name to it. And I don't know if there's something in the arborist community where they don't want to do that, or if legitimately it's like, well, we don't know for sure if we can save it. And then there's a liability aspect of that as well. And as it turns out, the city insurance company has said that the city's going to be 100% on the hook of any damage that occurs from that. And being a cynic, man, these trees, the roots of these trees will lift up houses, 2-story houses. What in the world are we going to put in the ground and sandy ground to reroot this tree, you know?
Right.
So it unfortunately seems like an inevitability, but again, I don't know. I'm not an arborist. I'm not an engineer. So, but it would be unfortunate to have that tree go.
Yeah. That tree been down there a long time.
Yeah. I remember that tree from when they had the fort there.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that tree was inside the fort. So, okay. So now a lot of these decisions that are made by the aldermen are mostly made in public, right? You know, at the board meetings, but there's been a lot of talk about executive session, you know, going into executive session and making decisions. Now, I'm curious what your opinion is on using executive session as an alderman. Has it been abused? Have we been using it too much? I imagine with your perspective on, no, we need to get more towards transparency, you wouldn't care too much for executive session, but yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think we've been using executive session too much. And the only time we should use it when it comes to a personnel issue. And when we have issues in the different department that need to be addressed, then we need to go into executive session, but not every time we turn around, it needs to be some transparency there. Yeah. And I think so often our residents seem to think some shady deals is going on behind closed doors, and we need to be transparent across the board, and we need to have those conversations and have people, the residents in Ocean Springs, involved in those decisions, and it just shouldn't be left up to the board to determine what we're going to do without even public input.
Yeah. And that makes sense. I think the one that's most egregious to me is the Mary C. kind of deal, that debacle. And that was, for me, kind of, family airing out dirty laundry kind of deal. It was embarrassing for me, you know what I mean, to see, because I knew people involved and whatnot, and just wasn't a good show. What was your opinion about, what's your opinion about the Mary C? I mean, how important is the Mary C to people in Ocean Springs?
It's very important to me and important to the whole city of Ocean Springs. It's history there. They were providing different cultural classes there. And unfortunately, what was going on behind the scenes, then the issues should have been, the city should have been a mediator between it and bringing all parties together. And let's talk about it and not go behind closed doors and say, okay, we're done here. That's not how we operate. That's not how the residents, feel about that. Let's talk about it, and let's have open dialogue about it. Whether we agree to disagree with each other, it is what it is, but let's do what is right. And now is the time to do the right thing, regardless of how you stand and how you feel. We can't take it personal. We have got to communicate and talk about these issues that are festering, and how long it's been festering. Who knows? We would never. I was not there, and you was not there. We only getting bits and pieces to the story.
Right.
And which is, again, you're going into behind closed doors and making decisions, whether it's based on likes or dislike, and that should not be the case.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Do you think, is the Mary C something that's so important that we shouldn't be looking at it in terms of like the money that it costs to operate or the money that it brings in?
We should look at the money, because at the end of the day, it's going to be back on the taxpayers right now to foot that bill. And then we need to look at the nonprofit organization that was coming in there that made it sustainable and less burden on the taxpayers, which I think is great.
Yeah, that was such a blessing. I mean, honestly, the city doesn't have to be involved in it. Yeah.
And so I'm all about it, but the other piece of it is then, stuff like this has been going on a long time, but we got to bring those organizations back into the fold. And it's okay to say, all right, I made a mistake. But we don't need to discount what they bring to the table, nor do the nonprofit discount what the city is bringing to the table as well. So, it's all about bringing people back to the table, having a conversation. Okay, how can we get past this? And how can we move forward? And let's not make the same mistake over and over again.
Yeah.
Because if we keep on making the same mistake, we're going to get the same results. And that's when residents get upset about not being able to voice their opinion, and here we are making decisions based on what we feel like and not having input from the residents.
Yeah. I definitely think that there has to be a with something like that where you have people like, I don't understand why there was such a conflict with the alderman and the friends. Like, to some degree, the city should be maintaining the building, allow these people to operate it, create things. Now, if they keep asking for money, obviously, the board should ask questions. But at the end of the day, every day that the board and the city is not involved in managing that facility is a net gain in terms of not having to pay somebody salary, benefits, all this other stuff. Yeah, it's costly. It's just, it seems that that place as the epicenter of culture in the city, as it seems, maybe the money aspect matters a little less, So, but have you done any classes there?
I went and participated in the Black History program that was put on there, and actually enjoyed it. And
was that this year?
This was last Not this year, but last year, 2020.
Yeah, because I didn't hear anything about it this year, COVID. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so I participated in that in 2020, but it's really nice. And I do have to say, I went to school at Tacony Elementary, and so that's
me too.
Elementary school was there, and the same auditorium was there. I did my school plays there.
Okay.
So,
what plays were you in?
I just saw local school plays that Miss Guy put on. You know, your sixth grade teacher.
I had Miss Guy.
Did you?
I sure did. I love Miss Guy.
Yeah, Miss Guy was my sixth grade teacher.
Okay.
And my sixth grade graduation was right there.
Oh, no kidding.
And so, you know, fond memories there. You know, Miss Richard was my third grade teacher. Okay. Miss Clifton was my fifth grade teacher. So, you know, I grew up there, and I do want to get a shout out to Miss Brinky.
I know Miss Brinky.
Yeah, Miss Brinky. And I remember when they made her the principal over there, and just wonderful and very supportive. And Tacony Gym right there. And I remember Mr. Harris, he raised money because we ran our summer day camps out of there from the YMCA. And so I had asked Mr. Harris, I said, why are we writing out these letters? And, you know, you putting these cards out, and, you know, he said, Greg, I need 300 cards to send out to benefactors. He said, because I need to make sure that the gym is fixed so all kids can be involved and have utilization to use Tacony Gym. You know, not just only for the YMCA benefit, but for the Parks and Recreation Department too at the same time. So he was very instrumental in raising money and getting that gym fixed up down there.
Well, look, I'm going to take a selfish topic here, if you don't mind. I kind of want there to be more of like an open gym thing in Ocean Springs, whether Ryan Center, Tacony, because like, I don't have an open gym to play at, you know, and not just COVID. Like when I lived in Navarre, prior to moving here, Navarre, Florida, Wednesday and Sunday nights, 7 to 10 p.m., you paid like $20 a month and you could go there and just run open gym. And I mean, you know, is that, you know, are you going to commit to something like that for me? Well, you don't have to. I'm just kidding.
and let me say this. When I signed on, when Bobby Cox was talking about renovating the Ryan Youth Center, I was a part of that.
Okay.
And so I helped raise money, and the different men organizations came together, Mardi Gras organizations came together, and, you know, I was on the ground level, you know, scraping off the paint off the walls, you know, cleaning the bathrooms, doing the whole 9 yards, raising money to restore the Ryan Youth Center. And one thing I did tell Bob, I said, I would not be a part of it if we are going to charge money that's going to be outrageous,
right,
for the residents. And I said, and if we are, I don't want to be a part of it. And I said, it needs to be a community open gym for everybody to use for less cost.
Yeah, I should say that in Navarre, it was an adults only. So you had to be, you know, an adult. But if that ever comes up again, you let me know. I would love to be involved in that. But I definitely agree. I mean, you know, I've just got a fond place of basketball in my heart, but having an open gym type thing or some sort of place where kids can go and they can congregate with one another, especially over sports. Like sports teach us so much.
Yes.
You know, I'm a huge fan of sports. And so I don't see any, I mean, it's not necessarily there to raise money, but I think there's intrinsic value that transcends money for sure. Yes. For sure. Yes. But, okay. So Ocean Springs is a city of money, you know?
Yeah.
I think we go back and forth with Madison fighting for the highest per capita income in the state, right?
Yes.
So what is it that the city can do to kind of maybe continue to grow, expand? I mean, bring in business so that we can continue that sort of growth mindset within the city?
Well, I think we need to get with our local business owners here and bring back the economic development committee and talk about, you know, how can we attract business? And I know we paid this one outfit $30,000 and did not bring one business into the city of Ocean Springs. No leads, you know.
Someone tried to tell me that the Dollar General at the on the west end of Ocean Springs was one of those deals. I was like, no, there's not a chance. Dollar General is they're going to find their way in. They do not need a firm.
No, they definitely don't need a firm at all. But we just got to be more mindful with the money.
Yeah.
Because we just don't have $30,000 sitting around just to give to somebody, and they haven't brought no lead to the table.
Yeah.
And
they're supposed to bring in like 100 businesses, and then at the end of a year, nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Yeah. So I think we need to have, bring back the Economic Development Committee, and then we need to have quarterly meetings with our business owners downtown Ocean Springs and hear from them.
Yeah.
Because they are in the trenches every day. And that's one of the anchors downtown Ocean Springs, our small businesses.
Well, I would say also that it's not just that they're in the trenches, but if we bring in the wrong business that takes money away from them, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So definitely they should be involved. So there's been a lot of talk about development in East Ocean Springs, and it's got water, it's got power, it's got sewer, everything's ready. Why can't we develop that?
Well, and that's exactly right. Why can't we? And we need to find out why can't we develop that and bring in other businesses down there to figure out, what is it that you don't like, and are we making it hard for them to come in here? Are we just being selfish and not looking at what benefits, and we need to talk about what benefits they're going to bring to Ocean Springs, and we should also think about how they're going to contribute to the community too as well.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I know that part of the, back to thinking about the small businesses and what bringing in business might do to them. Bringing in box stores, there's talk about that, and I've heard everything from they want to have East Ocean Springs look like Sangani Boulevard to we need to not have any box stores. I mean, where do you sit on this? I mean, should we focus on bringing in box stores, or
we can drive over to DIville. I mean,
that's where I'm at with it. If I'm honest with you, I don't mind the drive because all the Sangani problems are at Sangani, not in Ocean Springs.
Right. And we need to bring the right business to Ocean Springs that's going to fit in. This is a city of discovery, and and it's unique for a reason. And that's why people want to be like Ocean Springs, because it's unique. And so we need to be very careful, but they need to be able to buy in to the city of Ocean Springs, and they need to be able to give back to the community.
That's right.
As well. So I'm thinking, from my perspective, that, you can come in, but, what are you going to give back to the community?
Right. And for that question, if you're thinking about big box stores, like a good example is, McDonald's.
Yes.
On the coast, like one family owns most of the McDonald's, if not all of them, right?
Right.
So the problem with that is, that's a family here that's owning the franchise. And you might say, well, so they're bringing money to the coast. Yes and no, because they're using the logistics lines and everything else. They're sourcing everything from, headquarters, corporate McDonald's. They put all that in play. Right. So they're not having to talk with local logisticians, truck lines, all that stuff to bring that stuff in. So the money that comes in doesn't get distributed out to the local community. You see, like franchises tend to extract money, not spread it out, and that's the concern I have when you're looking at, a distribution company, right? That's local here. I mean, we'd rather that money stay here because that's local people that can also shop in those areas as well. So it's a transfer of money to individuals through the process of capitalism, right? To where people can have buying power and spend money locally. And that seems to be the ideal way to go, But I did hear, and this, so that episode's not out yet, but Mike Impey was on here, so I can talk about this, although episode's not out. Aldi's coming. So they actually secured the Aldi deal for East Ocean Springs. So we do have the apartments going up and then the Aldi. Okay. Now it's a larger box store, but from what I'm told, it's kind of like Trader Joe's. It's more affluent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So. So we'll see what that does.
Yeah, we'll see what that does, and we want to see if they're going to just buy into the community too as well.
Yeah,
and that's all about having a discussion with the upper management, always, and let's talk to them and stuff like that. So I think we need to buy local and spend local. I got my signs done at Image Galore, they're local. And one guy said, well, you can go to Mobile and get them cheaper. No, I want to spend local here. I'm a local resident of Ocean Springs, and I want to spend my money in Ocean Springs.
Images Galore did a sticker on, like, a decal on my car when I was in high school because I thought that was the thing to do. Yeah. But, oh, goodness. Okay, so we were talking about East Ocean Springs. We'll circle back to that. But what about annexation? We're talking about growth. We talk about economic growth. But there's this idea out there, a very good argument for we need to start expanding the city. Do you feel that way? Do you feel that we should start annexing areas? I mean, there's, for example, Gulf Park Estates, thousands of homes, and they use our school district. And then there, of course, our high school is now outside of city limits. Right. There's, more affluent homes popping up out there as well. We don't have interstate access, which hurts us. So there's opportunity for expansion and annexation. Do you think that's something we should be pursuing?
I know we pursued Gulf Park Estates back in 2005, and I think we need to go back and look at the table. You go back to the table and let's dust off the paperwork that they had and see why didn't we expand, annex out there in Gulf Park Estate. But I think we need to take it in small doses. And not expand where we cannot put our arms around it. They're building some beautiful homes out there by the high school, and we need to take a look at that and get a study done to see exactly what we need to do. But Gulf Park Estate for sure we need to look at. Okay. Because they've been around for years.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess I would say there's hundreds, if not thousands of homes back there. Now, with that comes a cost, right? Yes. I mean, because now we have to expand the police and whatnot, which is probably going to raise taxes on people. Do you see citizens maybe fighting that because of, while they can now be part of Ocean Springs, but that benefit equates to now a higher cost of living?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure, but again, we need to have those community conversations.
Fair enough.
And to see how they feel about it and stuff like that. And I'm just one person. Yeah. And if they say this is not the right time, if they don't want to be a part of it, then guess what? The residents have spoken.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Well, what about going up north on 57? So Gaucher owns the east side, and so the west side's available, and we have that sports complex here. And someone brought up a good point that you might have 300, 400, 500 kids come down in a weekend to play at these sports complexes, right?
Right.
But they're not staying in town because there's no hotel around there. So all those hotel fees are gone. Yep. There's no restaurants out in there, so there's not a good chance that they're eating in Ocean Springs. All those are disposable dollars.
Right.
Do you think that we should start promoting more kind of in that area so that we can capture some of those dollars?
I think so too. We need to look at a nice hotel chains to come over there on Highway 57. And I think we need to have better signage,
That's a big one too. Yeah.
And, importing people into the city of Discovery. And when those tournaments are being played out there, we should be sending out brochures along to those teams and say, this is what we have to offer here.
Just make 2 right turns out of here.
Absolutely. And go straight into the city of Discovery.
Yeah.
And you're going to discover everything that you need. But we need to promote that better. And I don't think we have promoted it the way it should be. But again, when we bring people to the table and they have ideas, and I think that's where all of the information will be fleshed out and give people the opportunity to, because everybody don't have the right idea or whatever. And some stuff that may fall by the wayside, it was just a simple of just, hey, let's put a packet together and let me send it to your team because you're going to be down here participating in a tournament. And this is the amenities that we have to offer here.
I wonder how much it would cost and what would be the sort of net gain for just having somebody down there on the weekend to just kind of have a booth and talk to people, like say, hey, look, you're right next to Ocean Springs. If you drive a few miles down that road, make 2 right turns out of here. You make 2 right turns and just drive down. You're going to see an absolutely amazing city, lots to do. But I would imagine the city doesn't have somebody parked out there, and I can understand why. There's obviously a money issue there, but I'm sure that's probably low hanging fruit that could probably help. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and maybe we can just tap into the chamber. Yeah. Just say, can you just put a packet together, a welcome packet together, so we can get to the teams.
I'm kind of thinking I should have a food truck and go out there.
Yeah.
As long as the outcome is income, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Goodness, man, that's actually an opportunity I'm thinking about. I'm going to have to write that down. Well, the good thing about doing this show is I don't have to write anything down. I just go back and listen to it, right? Yeah, that's awesome. So speaking of the school, all right, what are your thoughts on Ocean Springs schools?
Best school district in the state.
Guaranteed.
And I love the leadership that Dr. Coleman have provided the school district, during these trying times. She has taken our school district to a whole nother level. And her and her team have done a phenomenal job, as well as the teachers, educating our kids and stuff like that. And that's why people move here. And because of our school district, and we have a great school district. And one thing I can say, we as residents rally around our school district and do what is right, and you don't find that in most communities and stuff like that. Because
you do not cut the cost of or count the cost rather of Ocean Springs schools. That's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Dr. Coleman won't come talk to me on this podcast. My feelings are a bit hurt. I wanted to talk to her after the pandemic or when the pandemic kicked off, because she did a fantastic job of kind of talking about how things would operate. They sent out the PDF documents to show how they were going to social distance, what school might look like, creating options for parents. I thought it was fantastic, and I thought that was a positive thing that we could talk about, because again, back in like March, April, like this was a really scary unknown thing, but she didn't respond to my email, so a little upset about that. Not really, it's okay. But no, she's fantastic. Yes, she was an assistant principal, I think, whenever I was in high school. Maybe she might have showed up maybe 2005, 2006. I'm not sure. I could be wrong on that, but I know she was in the high school when I was there. Mr. Hirsch was the principal, and that was right before he moved up to the superintendent. So I had Carolyn Price on here.
Did you?
Yeah. Do you know Miss Price?
No, I don't know Miss Price.
Okay. Do you know Miss Price? Yeah, so she was on here. She was a few episodes back. We had a great conversation. But so what can we do? I mean, if we're such a good school, if we're at the top, right? Where else can we go? What else can be done better for the school district as a school district?
Well, I think, I would like to see us have a better working relationship with our board,
Go on.
And I, just not only just to come and bless the school budget and move on, but I think if we can have both boards, do a couple of retreats together throughout the year, I think that would help. And then also, let's figure out, I would love to see the drama club go down there and use the Mayor C to have plays down there as well. And, and I can just envision seeing, having a little 4-week summer camp and let the drama club from Ocean Springs High School be in charge of that, and because we have some smart kids, and I'm sure they can put on a dynamic program. I would love to see that. Yeah. But the school is great. Yeah. The school is great, and I just think they're the catalyst of this whole community. Without having a good school system, then we're nothing, because people move here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so I was, I'm an air traffic controller. And so when when I was in the military, you train at Keesler. So all the Air Force air traffic controllers go through there. So they're very familiar with the area. All Air Force air traffic controllers are. They're really familiar with downtown Ocean Springs too, because everybody goes there. But there seems to be essentially a bisection of two different types of people that come to Ocean Springs. One, enjoy the sort of casual nightlife. I don't want to compare it to Bourbon Street, but it's like you've got these bars around, but it's very clean. Right. It's very clean. It's very safe. People are fairly nice around here. And then also there's the school district. Yes. Most of the people that I work with that have kids, they either have plans to move to Ocean Springs or they live in Ocean Springs because of the school district. So it's pretty self-evident that the school district is pretty amazing. I do wonder if maybe how it's structured, where it's an independent school district, if maybe that's part of the problem. Because it kind of reminds me of kind of how the Mary C and the city were, because the Friends wanted to run a certain way, but the city was like, hey, we're giving you money, so we need to have a say in it as well. It seems analogous to this sort of school district and also, the city being kind of separate entities. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Well, again, it's all about, having those conversations and talking through it. And, I'm sure the school district have a 5 to 10 year plan, where they're going. Mm-hmm. But however, we're not there with the city of Ocean Springs. We don't know what their plan is, Mm-hmm. And so if we're not working together on the same, same sheet, then how can we, march to the same music?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
perfect metaphor there. Yeah, seriously. And so this brings up, I've heard a couple of people bring up the comprehensive plan for Ocean Springs was last visited in 2010, I want to say, and it's supposed to be visited every year. And maybe revisiting that comprehensive plan, incorporating the school district, the goals of the school district might actually help some of that. Yeah. Because we can say, hey, look, we need a little bit of money, but we're trying to take care of an opportunity that will allow us to achieve what we want to as a city as a whole in this comprehensive plan.
Absolutely.
So
we just need to just dust it off and go back to
seriously. That makes sense. Well, let's talk about we've mentioned downtown a couple times, right? Downtown's a good time, because it used to be when I was in high school, like basically past Pleasance, there wasn't a whole lot going on downtown. No. Now that blew up around, after Katrina. But what do you think of downtown?
Downtown is nice. Mm-hmm. Do we have some opportunities to do things better? Yes. Got some empty buildings down there. Mm-hmm. We need to know why they're empty, why they closed up shop and left. We could always look at other opportunities. Lighting down there is a little bit dark in certain areas and stuff like that. And of course, parking is always a problem. And then we need to be able to allow our visitors to know where the parking is. And they don't know. They're just driving in and just, figuring out, I just park my car on the side of the road, and, if it get towed, it gets towed.
It gets towed, yeah.
And I think that's one of the problems that we need to look at parking downtown Ocean Springs. And then we need to look at why businesses are just closing up shop down Ocean Springs.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. Makes sense to me. What do we do about the parking?
Well, no, we talked about the old Swingster building, that piece of property right there. But I know they applied for some funding through the state. But what happened after that? It was all on the news that we applied, but nobody have said, did we get it, or where we're at in that process? And so that's something that the community needs to be aware about. What's going on with the parking there. And then also, I think if we have better signage, letting people know, hey, we got parking back here behind Murky Waters or
near the grocery, or
those little areas back there, because so often people are not using those little parking lots back there that people don't even see, because they tuck behind those little small roads. Now we know about it, but the visitors don't. Right. So how do we get that to them when they're coming in to visit Ocean Springs? Through signage or, what.
Well, there's mostly no signage.
Right. Absolutely.
That's a big problem. I mean, it's kind of hard to complain about, the quality of signage because there is no signage.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's a part of it, but we've got to have, signs, not up, up in the sky where I got to look up like this to see where I'm going and stuff like that. But at our level, so people can, identify where to park at and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because we have so many major festivals, events that's that's downtown Ocean Springs, and parking is a huge part of it.
Yeah. Do you think a parking garage is the right way to go?
Yes. And I think we need to make sure it fits in with the downtown Ocean Springs, but it shouldn't be where it's just, just a parking garage, but it needs to be well lit. It needs to be maintained. It should not be running over with trash or litter or anything like that. But and maybe just having security out there, and I think that's a part of it too.
Sure.
Because we want to make sure that everybody is safe.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And when the conversation about a parking garage comes up, almost always it's a conversation about, well, it's important about how it looks, that it needs to fit in with the city,
Yeah.
So even on something like a parking garage, the people in Ocean Springs want it to be representative of the city. It needs to sort of evoke that spirit of what the city is and whatnot, and of the Gulf Coast.
Sure.
But do you think golf carts are a problem or contribute to the problem of traffic, or could they be an opportunity to help the problem with traffic?
I think it can be an opportunity to help.
Yeah.
Because they're smaller, easy to maneuver, take up less parking spots.
Yeah.
Save on energy, fuel efficient. We're not sitting here, listening as having cars sit there idle and, all those toxic fumes and stuff like that. So I think golf carts, it's perfect, for downtown Ocean Springs to get through, those little small narrow streets and stuff. So, but I do want to say that we need to make sure that we have those conversations with the residents of Ward 2. Now, we don't need to discount them, and when we talk about parking in the parking garage and stuff like that, because I have family members that stay in Ward 2, and they have concerns too, and we need to hear from their side of it too as well.
Yeah. I definitely agree, and part of me wonders if we get a parking garage, if maybe the parking along a street should be reserved to maybe golf carts or those with an ADA need, Americans with a Disability Act need, essentially just, but again, that's from my perspective,
right.
That could help, but also, I'm sure a business would have a different opinion about that.
Of course.
So, and you gotta take them into account for sure. So what ideas, aside from a parking garage, what can we do to make driving in downtown a better experience?
Well, I just think that if we make it accessible for cars to maneuver, going from north to south, just make it more walkable,
Yeah.
It just needs to, we just need to, again, just hear back from our community down up in that area, and hear back from the business owners down up in there.
That's a big one to me.
Yeah, it is. It's very big, and that's a tough one.
Yeah. So, do you think we should go to like a one-way street?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. And I've thought about it. It's crossed my mind and stuff like that. But so often that what about those businesses that are actually, if we say we go back east, and what about the ones that are going back west? We make it a one way. We got to hear from them too. So I'm just, I just think we just need to be able to figure out how can we make it more easier on everybody, and watch how we park on the side of the roads and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if it's difficult to come down here and spend money, I mean, people are going to find another place to spend money.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's what worries me about Porter too, is because Porter's going to probably run into the same sort of issues. So we really need to get this right, because you can bring businesses in all day, but if it gets to a point where like it doesn't make business sense to be down here, because you can sustain a business, but you can't grow a business because you can't bring in the customers because it's too inconvenient for them. Well, that's not good business, you know?
Right.
So, but yeah, what about, so should we wrangle in the golf carts? Because it's sort of been this Pandora's box that's been open. Yeah.
You know, so
which they're fun.
Yeah, they are fun. Yeah. They are fun. And, but you know, we all have our little own ways that we want to deal with golf carts, and I think it's neat, because I like to see that everybody's getting around, and you're seeing less vehicles on the road too. So everybody's using golf carts to get around through downtown Ocean Springs. So I think it's good, but it's more space for our visitors that are coming in for parking. So yeah.
It might be the case that anybody that comes in with a car, you're going to say, well, that's an outsider. Yeah. You know, that's because if they're smart, they'd be driving a golf cart. That's awesome. Okay. Well, Greg, what else would you like to talk about?
I think we just, I would like to talk about just more communication among our elected officials, and having an open door to them, and to be able to have access to them and know that they're listening to what the residents are saying, or the citizens of Ocean Springs are saying.
So I'm going to put you on the spot then here. Are you going to be that accessible person?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Because that's, you know, it's obviously very important, you know, if we're saying, hey, we need more transparency and access to information, you know, it's important that you know, we're willing to walk the walk on that, you know, obviously. So, well, that's fantastic. Now, prior to this starting, we're just kind of talking back and forth. And one of the things you mentioned was that you were talking to some of the department heads, and it seemed that, you know, everybody who has a ward is trying to get things done with their ward. Right. And these departments already have a schedule of events that they have to get done. Right. But then it's almost as if they have, you know, there's six wards, you got the mayor, then you got the alderman at large. So they essentially have 8 different bosses. Right. You know, that's got to be frustrating. Yeah. Is there something that we can do differently about that?
I think what we can do is give them the necessary tools to improve their jobs, but at the same time, let's listen to them, because they're in the day-to-day operations daily, and then they can task, you know, what is priority and what is not. But we need to give them the opportunity to do their jobs. And then with that being said, then we need to be able to go back to our citizens. This is how they prioritize the work orders. This is how stuff get done. So it's just a matter of how we are communicating, and just like you said, through technology, those are low-hanging fruits. But at the same time, if they're being pulled in 50 different directions, then how do they get their jobs done daily? Right. It's very difficult.
Yeah. Is there a solution? Like, should somebody be there to take in all the sort of requests and manage them across all departments to create a hierarchy of things that should be done? I mean, that seems to be something that would have utility, but then again, I can see the downside effects of maybe it becoming politicized. Like, hey buddy, could you hook me up for my ward real quick? You know, just kind of make those a little higher on the priority list. So,
well, I think it's by department, you know, and they better know how to prioritize what is important and what they already got scheduled versus me coming in, you know, on Tuesdays and say, hey, we got this, what's going on with this? But they can do that themselves and stuff like that to manage their own department. But we just need to give them the tools to do it.
For sure.
Yeah, just give them the tools to do it and enhance it, and not say that we're going to change the process, but just say this is how we can work more efficient.
Sure.
You know, and with that being said, we have got to listen at what they're telling us.
Yeah, that seems to be the better way to go, the more sustainable way to go. I mean, it's one thing to come in and say, no, I don't do your job, and I'm going to tell you exactly how you need to do your job now, but rather having a more inclusive discussion about what is it that you do. I'm not trying to change everything that you do, but there might be some meat left on the bone that we can kind of capitalize on, Right. Maybe that is using technology to be able to see all the work orders associated with whatever department, and then, having some sort of hierarchy associated with it. But, and again, that could be something that is already available, but not being used properly,
Right.
So there's all that. Excellent. Well, Greg, it's been fun talking to you.
It's fun talking to you.
Easy stuff, right?
Easy stuff. and hopefully we'll see you on the basketball court or on the playground.
Look, as soon as COVID's over, I keep driving by. So they play a lot in, I guess, behind Tacony. They got a very nice basketball court there now. So I've gotten a shot around out there, but I kind of want to get out there with the COVID stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be responsible with that. But as soon as I get the green light, I'm out there. Wife already knows. So, yeah. But, it's, again, because I've done so many of these, this is something I always say, but I genuinely mean this. This city produces some amazingly talented people, present company included.
Yes.
So, the citizens are the people that benefit when they have to pick from such passionate and talented people such as yourself.
Yeah.
So thank you for running. Thank you for, thank you to your family willing to support you as you sacrifice for this, for people that you've never met, based on the principles that you have of the city and the love for the city. So thank you, and I wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
And if you ever want to come back on, love to have, another chat with you. So
absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Greg, how can people get in touch with you? How can they support you?
Well, they can go to vote for Greg Gipson for Ward 1, and I also have email. So Facebook.
So that's on Facebook.
Yes.
Okay.
Everything is on Facebook.
Okay.
And I'm just readily available for any questions or concerns that they may have. And so, I'm always downtown or around and stuff like that because I'm such involved in so many different organizations and stuff like that. So I've been around Ocean Springs for years.
Wonderful.
Yes, sir.
Well, look, we should have a chat offline. If I can provide a platform to any other of these nonprofits to kind of talk about things too, I'd love to do that. So anyway, I can kind of highlight people and organizations on the coast doing great things. I'm all ears. So
thank you, sir.
All right. Well, again, Greg, thanks for stopping by. Had a great time talking to you.
Thank you, and thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, everybody. Thanks again. See ya.
Bye.
Easy stuff.
Easy stuff.